Good morning, everybody. Hey, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. Introduce our speakers this morning. I'm Jan, the Director of Sales. We've got Jason, our Cybersecurity Practice Manager, and then Heath Howard, our Director of Custom Development. And what we're going to cover today, we're going to go through what's new on online payments, the online payment solutions. We have a new integration partner called wowbrands. We want to talk about that a little bit. And then also go through our technology team updates. Also, we're going to talk about where we're at with digital signature capture. And then this has been a really important topic in the RTO industry of late with a lot of ransomware attacks, that sort of thing. And so we've got Jason is going to, which is our cybersecurity practice manager, go through some information I think you guys will find interesting about things you should be considering in your business when it comes to cybersecurity. So we'll start out with what's new with Cynergi Suite. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the organizational changes around Project E. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that over to Heath and let him give you an update.
Hi, everyone. So I've recently taken over the role of the Director of Software Development for the Project E team. What we are doing is we're making a lot of changes. We've scaled up the team and we are converting our development practice methodology over to agile development, which maybe you've heard of before. But what that does is it allows us to have a lot more visibility into the velocity at how fast we're going with our development and more granular visibility into what is happening on our development teams. So right now we've got 3 teams that have converted over to the agile development, and we use what's called sprints, which are basically 2-week little milestones where we decide what work we're going to work on for the 2 weeks, and then we're going to and then we work through that 2 weeks. At the end of the 2 weeks, then we come back and we do a retrospective. We might do demos, which we might start offering some demos eventually. We're not at a point where we can do that yet. And we evaluate how things went in our process. So and then one of the focus of agile then is the continual process improvement of our processes. So we hope to improve our overall capacity and velocity of our development. Right now we've got one team that's working on the customers module for the Cynergi Suite. And of course, our back office accounting team has been working on that for a while. We recently converted them over to agile development, and we're spinning up another team that's working on the inventory module as well. Another thing that we're doing is we are converting or migrating all of our code repositories over to GitHub Enterprise. And the advantage to that is that it offers some advanced, well, there's a lot of advantages, but one of my favorite is that it offers advanced security scanning tools. It looks for vulnerabilities with every bit of code that we change. It also tracks all the different library dependencies that we use and make sure that they are up to date and free of vulnerabilities as well. So it also just is going to speed up the overall process of developing code and kind of streamline our workflow. And let's see, we've started an internal stakeholders meeting that we're having with a lot of our internal experts on Cynergi to get feedback from them as well. And I think Jan is also working on creating some client, for lack of a better term, like focus groups that we can also reach out to and just run our design ideas by. Of course, we're not looking in this first release of the new Cynergi to make it revolutionary and all of the changes that we make. Really, we want to get this out as quickly as we can, but we are trying to find some of that low-hanging fruit and some of the more critical pieces, that changes that people have been asking for, and making sure that those get added to the new version that we're working on now. It's always a danger when you're rewriting software to want to fix everything and make it, do everything that you've always wished that it would do. Problem is they'll never get it done because it's a moving target, and so we want to make sure that we've got a good balance of fixing the stuff that needs to be fixed, or the improvements that need to be done, and still getting this out in a timely manner as well. So I think I've pretty much covered everything. Jan, can you think of anything that I missed?
No, I think you covered everything. The only thing I wanted to expand on a little bit is just, I want to thank some of the clients represented today have agreed to be subject matter experts, and we'll be reaching out to more.
Excellent.
And your input is going to be just critical to us, because we want to make sure that we don't take anything out of Cynergi that you guys feel are super important, but we really want to focus on streamlining it. Obviously the back end we're going to revamp, and the business logic is going to be revamped, but the user interface is super important too, and the functionality there. And so getting that input from you is going to be critical. So we appreciate that, and I think it's going to be great to have you help us, really have an investment in, what ultimately Cynergi becomes, and to make it a much better product. Awesome. All right. Well, Heath, I know you've got some other things going on around Project E. Hurry up and get Cynergi done, okay?
All right. We'll get back to work. Thanks, everybody. Look forward to working with all of you.
Thanks. Other thing we want to talk about today is updates on communications. And what we mean by that is, we have not done a very good job organizationally recently, especially keeping you informed on what's going on with Cynergi from a standpoint of bug fixes, enhancements, and changes, and that sort of thing. So we got together as a group and said, how can we improve this? And we're working with our marketing communication team to assist us in this. And a couple of things we're going to be rolling out here in 2023 that I think are really going to help keep that information flowing better. One is we're going to create a blog that you guys can utilize as a resource, so you can see what changes are coming and what changes have been made, in the area of enhancements, bug fixes, and other changes to Cynergi. So it'll be like a resource center for you that you'll have access to. Other thing is, we're going to put a lot more of that information in our newsletter, so it'll be there as well. And then the other thing we want to do is really kind of cast a wider net in the number of people within your organizations that are getting email communication from us. Because right now we're kind of limited. Really, we've got just one person within an organization that's really getting these emails. And we really feel like, in these bigger companies, especially, there may be several people that really need to see this. So your account executives are going to reach out to you to get some recommendations from you of who you would like to, have access to this information. And then those emails will go out to more people within your company. And again, you'll have the blog and the newsletter that will help keep that information flowing. So I'm excited about that. And I think it's really going to improve things, because we have had some challenges here recently where we've had some programming changes go out and there wasn't a lot of visibility, and it causes a little friction, when those kinds of things happen. So the next thing that's new is Cynergi that we're getting ready, whether we're in the process of rolling out right now, is a lot of enhancements to the Cynergi payment solutions. And so what are the payment solutions? Well, it's your in-store payments, online payments, pre-authorized payments, phone, and payments that can be made through apps like your customer app or the collections app. So they've been working both on the user interface and on the back end. And the enhancements are really focused around, making it more efficient, from a usability standpoint, and also because we're dealing with payments and dealing with credit card processing, things like that, security are really critical. So they've also been tightening up the security aspects of it and revamping some of the things around some of the newer PCI guidelines and that sort of thing. This is going to be a phased release, so there may be some people on the meeting today that have already gotten these enhancements. If not, Your account executive will be reaching out to you to get your authorization for us to do the updates, so we can get you in the loop of what's going on and get you updated. So those are going to be happening. They're happening now, as a matter of fact. So if you haven't been contacted already, you will be here shortly. And what the developers are really working on have been cleaning up and modernizing the code that makes the payment solutions work. Again, focusing on security, sustainability, and support, making them more supportable, and also making things faster and easier to use. So you should notice a quicker and smoother experience for your customers when they're on the online payment site, or when your employees are adding PAP into the system. Those types of things, we've made vast improvements there. And I know I'm throwing a lot at you right now. If you're interested in seeing this at a deeper level, we'll spend some time one-on-one with you, go through all this stuff at a deeper level for sure. So right now, making payments is going to require a lot fewer clicks and screens to go through when customers are on the online payment site. It's going to be a lot easier to add new payment information, like new forms of payment. And we've adjusted the interface for also on the recurring payment side to make that easier than the PAP side. Some of the really cool stuff is what we've done on the back end. So the changes they've made to the back end now gives you visibility to not only just your online payments, but all payment sources. So you've got a much better way to see all that in one view. So in this particular dashboard I'm showing you here, you can see, payments by store location, payments by week or by day. So the when and the where, store and day. You can look at it by payment status, so you can see the payments that were processed, how many refunds were done, and how many declines were done. And then you can look at the different sources, which this is really cool. So you can look at, was this a phone payment, an online payment, a pre-authorized payment, or was this a payment that was made through an app? And you can get some visual representations, down here with the pie charts and whatnot, so you can see that, and then you can drill into it for more detail if you'd like. Same thing with the payments report now, bringing in all of the different elements from the different payment options. And you can look at payments by date range. So you can look at it all, kind of a broad date range if you want to, a couple of months, a quarter, half the year, whatever. And you can look at the transaction types, the status, what store location these payments came from. And then there's a lot more information about looking at individual payment transactions with individual customers. So you can search for a customer and then drill down into that particular transaction and look at those payment details. So it's pretty neat stuff. And then we've also created more back-end management for you, so you have a lot more control over what's going on without necessarily needing to involve us. So system configuration's been improved a lot and tightened up. You have a lot more control now over the appearance and how that looks, and you can make those changes yourself. And then also adding payment gateways and that sort of thing. Right now you guys are using global payments or First Data, but as we add more gateways here, that screen will fill up, and you can see what the different options are and control that gateway interface. So the other thing I wanted to talk about today was another integration partner that we just brought on. Again, adding another integration partner with a marketing company to help you guys drive sales in your business. So wowbrands is a company that specializes in customized marketing programs for the RTO industry. And so we've created an interface with them that you can set up, that you can export data out of Cynergi to provide the data to them so they can do the marketing program. So, direct mail marketing, so you can export your customer rental agreement data, and then they'll work with you to create a custom marketing plan for your company. You can control the frequency of the uploads. You can be daily, monthly, weekly, however often you need to feed that data to them for your program. And there's different types of approaches I'm sure that you would work with them on, like if you wanted to target paid in full customers, or add-on agreement incentives for somebody who maybe he's got a flat panel TV, but you like to get them, you know, a video game console, you know, those types of opportunities. So if you guys have any interest in working with wowbrands, just contact your account manager and they can get you going. The process is easy. You just need to sign a data release. And then our folks will work with wowbrands to set that secure integration interface up so that we can start feeding them your data for your marketing program. Okay, the other thing we want to talk about today is giving you just an update on where we're at with digital signature capture. We're really excited about this feature, and again, this is a no-cost feature for you. There's not going to be any charges as far as monthly license fees or anything for storage or anything like that. So right now, what we're working on is just working with Google, who's going to do the data storage, and we're just finalizing that piece, but we're very close to getting that done. And we're actually beta testing right now with a few clients that are in progress, and we'll be beta testing with a few more. The signature process will be driven by either email or text messaging. So you can either email the documents to the customer or text them to them right there when they're in the store. I think I see a lot of that probably happening with your, you know, your in-store transactions, and the text messaging being the easier way to do it. And that also gives you an opportunity to have them opt in for text messaging while they're there. So kind of a dual benefit, if you will. Now, I know before we talked about using QR codes also. In this first version, we're going to nix that. That looked like that wasn't really a real effective way to make this work. We may look at QR codes again down the road, but for right now, it's going to be limited to email and text messaging. The only cost to get on board with digital signature capture is there is some tweaking that will need to be done to your forms to enable them to be able to handle the signing elements, right? So when you're interested in doing this, get with your account executive. We can look at the forms that you're using right now and give you a quick quote. It's not super expensive. There are just some minor changes that will need to be made, but those are one-time cost. And so once you make those, you're done with it. And again, there's no license fees or any other fees to do this the digital signature capture. And I also just a couple screens here I wanted to share with you to really show you how easy it's going to be. There's really minimal changes within Cynergi itself to actually do the digital signature capture. So this little screenshot right here is just taken from when you're building a rental agreement for the customer, and then really the only difference would be is in the printing method. So you'll either send them an email or send them a text. And then the lower screen shows what happens when you go in to actually pull the rental agreement up down the road if you need it for some reason, months down the road to pull up the rental agreement again from where we're storing it in the cloud with Google. So, it's super simple to pull that up and then just select how you want that document to display. So we'll go ahead and shift into cybersecurity. I'm going to turn this over to Jason. And our intent here, first of all, let me just say that, you guys may or may not know this, but, obviously High Touch has a managed services division that focuses on cybersecurity. It's a big part of our business. The reason I'm saying this, we're not here to sell you anything today or anything like that. This is really more educational, but I'm saying that so that you guys understand that we understand this and then we're experts in it. So just kind of set that stage for you, okay, to understand that this is a legitimate business for us. And Jason is our cybersecurity practice manager, and he not only works on keeping us safe, but he also consults with a lot of different types of companies to help them with cybersecurity and implementing it and that sort of thing. So that said, I'll go ahead and turn this over to Jason.
Thanks, Dan. My name is Jason Fenolio. I'm the cyber practice manager for High Touch. Been with the company for almost 3 years. Had about 25 years of experience in just IT in general. Solutions architects, engineer, help desk, all the way down to the front lines. So I have quite a bit of experience, and I'm about to finished up my master's in cyber from Georgia Tech this year. So I do have a lot of experience, and just wanted to reiterate that. So to begin our presentation for the cyber side, I just want to kind of go over the stats. Of course, Verizon had published their cyber reports this last year and mentioned that human error has occurred or has accounted for 82% of the cybersecurity breaches. Whether it be stolen credentials, phishing, or misuse. And in misuse, I go into more of that being organizations not using least privileges, admin access on every client, giving the users access to more things than they need. So some of those phishing or texting campaigns can actually cause more damage. That's what that's kind of attributed to. Email does remain probably the highest percentage success rate for threat vectors. Email, basically any sort of phishing campaign that threat actors send out, that is successful 91% of the time. It's basically the feelers out into your organization to see who they can hook the easiest. Click forward, Jan. Thank you.
You got it.
So, of course, you have to have the technology in place. It's kind of a foundation for your defense in depth. Basic cybersecurity technology such as firewalls and website filtering definitely help conditions where things do sneak through. Enterprise solutions like encryption and filtering, basically being able to protect the data that you send in and out, and to block a lot of that spam that is reaching your users. That's incredibly important. And having the data visibility into the organization is a great help in order to keep threat actors out of your systems. As far as processes, incident response plans, they might be kind of a forethought, but they're highly critical to an organization. Basically, you want to make sure that you know how to recover from an incident quickly. You want to make sure you have the roles defined on who's involved with the restoration, the overall communication internally and externally, so you can have your restoration people working on the problem rather than filling the calls. Is the whole process documented? You want to make sure that's documented, in place, and reviewed quarterly, so that if you have roles move in and out of your organization, they are able to pick up the slack fairly quickly. And also, and this is very critical, your cyber insurance, if you ever were breached, they're going to go through and look through your systems. So in a lot of situations, they can basically hold your data hostage for weeks on end until they can figure out the actual cause of the breach. So there are certain ways to be able to snap that data over to a offline storage and give them that data, so you don't have to sit there with your systems being down during that time. You can actually start the remediation process quicker and have that mean time to recovery lessened. Also, it's also important to have remote monitoring and the IT management. Or do you have a 24/7 SOC monitoring your endpoints? Do you have somebody keeping track of your assets? Something that's actually looking out from the network side to see if there's something that has hopped on the network that you're not sure of. All of those things are important for maintaining your infrastructure. And lastly, as far as education, this really should be up at the top. I'm going to go a little more in depth to this a little bit later, but security awareness training, it teaches your users to really slow down and look at every sort of communication inbound, whether it be email or texting or just phone calls. Having that security awareness training, or SAT, doing phishing simulations and monthly training really gets your users on board and they become your team, rather than ruling in a fear of having your users scared of coming out and saying, hey, maybe I shouldn't have clicked on this. They're actually coming through and saying, hey, this looks fishy. I'm gonna give this to you. And a lot of reasons, or a lot of cases, you're gonna have a lot of false positives. It's gonna be a legitimate, but at least they're reaching out to the people who are in charge of your IT and have them take a look at it further. It's better than clicking on something and giving somebody access that they shouldn't. So we do partner with a company called KnowBe4, and you probably heard of them. Very reputable company. I'm not sure if you know who Kevin Mitnick is. He's one of the most renowned social engineering experts. I think he's labeled himself as the world's greatest hacker. But he started KnowBe4. And it's something we actually use internally. Use that for our phishing campaigns and our security training. So I wanted to show you just a little bit of an example of what we send out internally. And this looks like a fairly legitimate email from Microsoft 365. But when you look closely to that, you can check the domain, the from, and the reply to. Of course, it's something that's not your typical SharePoint.com or Outlook.com. It does look suspicious if you look in depth on it. So rather than clicking on this, either the person will delete it, or they're going to reach out to the IT team so they can look in the back end to make sure that it's legitimate for the user. It's this kind of message that we send out that makes every one of our users question whether or not something is legitimate. And internally with High Touch, it's really changed the culture for the good, and everybody slows down and makes sure that they're clicking on something legitimate, not an issue, or not a threat vector. It does integrate too with Office 365, so it looks like it comes through internally to simulate somebody getting their credentials compromised. So that's just as a critical situation as any. All right, let's move forward. So cybersecurity things you can do. I'm going to bring up SAT awareness again, kind of out of order, just because it's so important. It's my primary thing I go to companies to make sure that they train their end users. There are ransomware and extortion organizations with their own HR departments. They just send out blanket phish campaigns to anyone that they can find on the internet. So think of a successful phish as a sales lead that moves you up to the more aggressive attackers within an organization. So it's so critical to stop sinking that hook. Stop it at the front line. With the phishing campaigns, perfect practice makes perfect. Training your team is critical, and make sure that the team slows down to think on all incoming communications, whether it be email, phone calls, or text. Watch for purposeful mistakes as well. Threat actors can get things wrong, like names or processes, to end users to get you to verify correct information. It gives kind of a feeling of teamwork of solving the problem. So a lot of threat actors will have you validate something that you have done incorrectly. And then once you give them the correct information, they can get further into your environment. And if in doubt, reach out. You always use out-of-band communication from the method that it came in on. So if you got an email from someone, make sure you give them a phone call. I wouldn't do so much of a text because you're not actually hearing the person, but somebody's asking for money or gift cards, that's very, typically that doesn't happen a lot. I know we get those texts from our CEO all the time. Of course, it's not him, but we reach out to him and he's going to say, of course, it's not me. So it's important to get that pushed in your culture, and you'll find that it's going to be the most cost-effective way to protect your environment. Of course, second, multi-factor authentication. It's a must for any cloud services. Microsoft 365 is a huge target because so many people use it. So it's important to get MFA across the board. It is a culture change, but we have ways of helping out our customers get through a lot of that pushback from our end users. Then, of course, intrusion protection, spam malware, advanced threat protection. That is usually from the email side. Consider using 24/7 remote monitoring from a SOC. You have to sleep sometimes. You rest easier when you have a 24/7 SOC monitoring your environment. Using endpoint detection and response, an EDR tool. Signature-based AV, your typical antivirus like Symantec or Kaspersky or something that looks out for things that are already in the wild. That's fairly obsolete technology. We want to do something like an EDR that looks for behavior based anomalies. So that should be part of your defense in depth. There is a lot of malware that's coming through from fileless methods. Clicking on links that create PowerShell sessions. They can download binaries from the backend without installing anything. Again, that comes through the phishing side, but having an EDR tool in place would detect that and stop it. Also make sure you have network device monitoring to look for anything that has been plugged into your network. A SIM tool is great for monitoring footholds, long-term footholds. So if you have something in your environment you're not quite aware of, somebody on a SOC team looking at a SIM tool can look at that correlation between your security products and could pinpoint something that you might not see with one individual tool. And make sure you have a cybersecurity written policy, an InfoSec policy, acceptable use policy, all of these things that we have in place in order to get our SOC 2 certification. So it's something that we've gone through, and it's something we can help you out as far as writing a policy for yourself. So that's all I have for the update for cybersecurity. If you have any questions, we'll have my contact information at the end. We can certainly help you out. So I'll go ahead and give that back to you, Jan.
Sure. If you guys have any questions today that you'd like to ask Jason, feel free. We've got a little bit.
Absolutely.
So I can open up for that, and then I've got a couple comments as well. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask today? Okay, no problem. Well, you guys may already be working with a managed services provider for your own companies. Again, this is just meant to give you some things to think about. So we can give you this list, and feel free to, ask them if these are things that they, either services they provide or things that they can help you with. If not, we're happy to help you, no problem. couple things I've noticed that I've seen in the RTO industry. Again, this has kind of been a big thing. I think APRO just had a seminar on cybersecurity, because I think there's been more and more small businesses, which that fits a lot of the RTO profile of being prime targets for ransomware and things like that. And those ransomware attacks can be very disruptive to your business and costly. So those are things I think you need to really think about. And what I've seen in my experience has been owners typically, or executives, spend a lot of time focusing on the home office users in the home office, but not really a lot about the stores. And they use maybe generic store email accounts, maybe aren't using Microsoft products for email. It could be Google, it could be some other random, email service or something like that. And I think you have to think about this holistically. You're not just protecting your back office, you've got to protect your entire enterprise. Anybody using an email within your organization, especially out of the stores where that seems to be where there's not a lot of emphasis on security sometimes, that's probably your weakest point in the chain. And, again, as the stats show, the majority of these intrusions happen through email, and they happen through just somebody accidentally clicking something they shouldn't. And so if you have a generic store email inbox, gosh knows what's going in that inbox and what those folks are getting, and they get busy, and it's very possible for them to accidentally click on something. So I just want to kind of plant that seed that think about things holistically throughout your entire organization, your warehouse, your distribution center, anybody that uses email or uses your network. You really need to think about that the same way as you think about your home office. Aside from that, I think that's all we've got. And again, if we can give you this list or help you in any way, please let us know. We're happy to do that. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. This is our fourth session for the year, and we'll continue these meetings going into next year. And hope you guys have a great finish to 2022, a strong fourth quarter. And anything we can do to help you out, please let us know. Otherwise, we'll sign off. Appreciate you attending.